right, demolition has begun on the east wing of the White House to make way for the president's 90,000 square foot ballroom, which is expected to cost around $200 million. It's being paid for by the president and other private donors. The East Wing traditionally houses the First Lady's staff. The president says it will be fully modernized. With us now is Alyssa Farah-Griffin, who was the White House communications director in the first Trump administration. We both keep looking at these pictures going like, wow, that just looks weird. Let me play you something the president said about this proposed ballroom earlier.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
So he said it won't interfere with the current building. He said that back in July here. It seems to be interfering with a big chunk of the building that got knocked down here. How surprised are you that he's doing this?
Well, listen, he advertised he was going to do this. And I do remember in the first term, he had this huge frustration with the fact that he couldn't do massive state dinners that you'd see in other countries. So like the state room can only hold something like 150. The East room, maybe a little more than that. So he's always wanted this grand ballroom, something that you would see in England or something. But I think it's going to end up, based on what I've kind of heard, is it's going to look a lot more like a Mar-a-Lago ballroom than perhaps like Buckingham Palace. But we'll see. We'll wait for the designs to come through. But this is something he wanted. He wants that pomp and circumstance, and he wants to leave his mark on this White House. He wants in 50 years and 100 years for there to be a reminder that Donald Trump was in this White House.
It is jarring, though, to see wrecking balls like tear down these walls that we've seen.
It's a fully working building. Even the East Wing, you've got the First Lady's staff has their offices there. Some of legislative staff did in his first term. So even when construction starts, I wonder what that's going to be like during the day, because I imagine he's going to want to move very quickly here. He's going to want his ballroom soon. He's certainly not going to want the next guy to inherit it in 3 years.
So it's not just this, right? He also paved over part of the Rose Garden here.
Yeah, and the theme seems to be Mar-a-Lago, but make it DC, because you see the new Rose Garden. You've got even the umbrellas from Mar-a-Lago, those sort of yellow country club looking ones. I'm curious what this will end up looking like. He does like grand, ornate, Trumpian style. I expect there'll be a lot of gold. But I think listen, you're going to have critics of this. I'd like just plain and simple. If it doesn't adhere to the original architecture of the White House, if it doesn't look like it fits in and kind of keeps that sort of the look that it has. So I think we'll see.
What do you think the next president will do? I guess when you're talking about the ballroom, they're not going to change that. That is what it is. But I do wonder about the Rose Garden.
I could see somebody going back to that. Like, listen, Trump complained both on the South Lawn and the Rose Garden. It's hard for events. The chairs, the risers, they sink into the ground. Women's shoes do. That's a very legitimate concern. But I think the paving over it, I could see somebody later actually deciding that they want to change that.
So the president also last week unveiled plans to build a triumphal arch, which some are calling the Arc de Triomphe, across from the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, how far do you think he's going to push this remaking of Washington, D.C.?
I think he's going to push it quite far. I mean, listen, from the Kennedy Center becoming practically the Trump Center with his board of directors, him hosting events there, I think he wants to leave his mark on Washington. There is a comfort level that Trump has in the second term that he did not have in the first term. It was a lot of learning the building, learning the machinations of government, and now he wants to leave his mark on history, so I expect you're going to see even more of this.
You were in the White House, just very quickly. How much did he talk about building stuff when he was there?
The ballroom was a real concern because it is tough when you want to do something large. You can have to expand to the outside or open up doors. There isn't something that can really fit if you want 300, 400 people. So this was a long-term concern. The Rose Garden as well, I didn't think he was going to go full concrete. I thought maybe like some lattices, something a little, I don't know, more gardeny.
You can play Foursquare out there, even Nine Square, if you have enough chalk. Alyssa Farah-Griffin, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The current renderings of the privately funded ballroom are very much a reflection of Trump's style. Gold and crystal chandeliers, gilded Corinthian columns, these gold floor lamps, checkered marble floor. The president lauded the $200-some million project today as he was hosting LSU and the LSU Shreveport championship baseball teams at the White House.
We're building a ballroom. They've wanted a ballroom for 150 years, and I'm giving that honor to this wonderful place. We'll have the most beautiful ballroom in the country, so you'll have drinks, cocktails, everything on this floor. And then they'll say, welcome to dinner. You walk into the ballroom, Mr. Senators, and you're going to see a ballroom the likes of which I don't think it'll be topped.
My political sources are joining me tonight, CNN political commentators Karen Finney and Scott Jennings. And Scott, obviously the president said today that he thinks every president has dreamt about having a ballroom at the White House. I'm not sure that's totally true, but he has wanted one since Obama was in office. There was a word at the time that he wanted to help spearhead building one back then. I wonder what you make of this.
Well, it's certainly Donald Trump. I mean, he is all about hospitality. That's his business. And this is going to give us a place in the White House to do the biggest and best hospitality we've ever done. I will say I don't think it's super unusual for the White House to undergo massive construction projects. I mean, all the way back to Thomas Jefferson putting in the colonnades, or Theodore Roosevelt putting in the West Wing, or FDR putting in the East Wing, Nixon putting in the press briefing room over top the swimming pool. The fence going up, Clinton closing Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, you go on and on and on. The White House is typically under construction, either in small ways or in large ways. The most significant cosmetic reconstruction was probably Harry Truman when they gutted the White House. But he also, you'll remember, added the Truman balcony, which changed the image of the south side of the White House. So I think this is another in a long line of improvements. It's a historic building, but it's a living building, and it's reflective of the people who live there. And I think future presidents will enjoy having a space where, you could have all the senators or heads of state, or, frankly, it's a public space. They'll be able to put more people than ever inside the White House. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Trumans actually had to live in the presidential guest house, the Blair House, for some time. But that was because, the White House was kind of unlivable. It was unstable to the point where they shouldn't be living there at that point. But Karen, what are your thoughts?
Well, as I mentioned on this program a couple weeks ago, I think it's fairly grotesque to begin construction, just the optics of beginning construction on a grand ballroom at a time when the government is shut down, inflation is still high, costs are still high. We saw new economic indicators coming out today actually showing that middle and lower income Americans are falling behind in car payments, which is an early indicator. So I think even if you believe that this was a good idea, I would say the timing is horrible. And look, personally, it was a little shocking to see those images, having worked in the White House. I mean, there's so much beauty and history in the East Wing. So it's sad to see that, that huge hole there. And I would just mention that some of the other things, the changes that Scott mentioned, those were additions. This is a subtraction, I guess, in an addition, but it really changes, I think, in many ways, what the people's house is supposed to be about, which is not necessarily a grand ballroom with crystal chandeliers, but it's about, the American people. So again, I just also think the construction timing is really just gross.
Fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.